From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. Vice President Kashim Shettima arrives in Addis Ababa for the 39th Ordinary Session of African Union Heads of States and Government. Works Minister expresses concern over escalating vandalism of infrastructure as lawmakers scrutinize 2026 spending for MDAs. Judge recuses self from presiding over cases involving former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. And vote counting on the way as polls formally close in Bangladesh, closely monitored election.
In business, CBN reaffirms commitment to sweeping economic reforms aimed at positioning Nigeria for a $1 trillion economy by the year 2030.
And in sports, legal woes of Ghana International, Thomas Partey worsens after being charged with 2 additional counts of rape.
Tonight begins now. We begin tonight in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where Vice President Kashim Shettima has just arrived for the 39th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of African Union Heads of State and Government and the 30th General Assembly scheduled for February the 14th and 15th, 2026. According to a statement issued by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Office of the Vice President, Stanley Lokoja, Shettima, alongside Nigeria's delegation, landed at the Bole International Airport, where he was received by Ethiopia's Minister of Innovation and Technology and the State Minister of Foreign Affairs. This year's AU Summit will focus on strengthening continental commitments to sustainable water management, improved sanitation systems, and broader development goals captured in the AU's Agenda 2063 framework. All right, we'll be having a guest, a global policy and African affairs analyst, Dr. Victor Okai, right after this break. The family of a 14-year-old girl in Lokoja who was allegedly being groomed to be sexually abused has opened up to News Central over the unfortunate incident. While the survivor's identity remains protected, our correspondent, Mono Balagbobo, gives chilling details of the family's account.
Abuse and alleged sexual misconduct are amongst the most underreported crimes, especially when minors are involved. Families remain silent due to fear, stigma, or concern for the child. In this case, the family has spoken out to raise awareness and alert other parents to the risks.
Public attention grew after an audio recording of a phone conversation between Ernest Obetule and the minor surfaced online. The recording made by the family allegedly contained statements by Ernest suggesting inappropriate intentions.
At least I've told her I'll take care of you. You'll take care of me too. 50-50. I'll be a baby forever.
According to the survivor's mother, Ernest Obetule, in his 50s, had long been a trusted family friend and an associate of the child's late father.
He came along with my husband to spend the night. So after they had gone in the morning, my daughter came to me and said, "Mommy, do you know that the man that came here last night and spent the night with us was trying to touch me inappropriately?" And I queried her for the how. She said the man has said she should show him the toilet. So while she was going ahead to show him the toilet, he attempted to touch her. Now, before this time, she said that when the visitor and our daddy were sitting together, she was asking her daddy for data for her homework. And the man volunteered to give her the data. So he requested for her number so he could transfer the data to her. So that was how he was able to acquire her phone number. She told me that the man called and he told her that he was actually in Lokoja and he would like to see her. So since I was not around and we have already established that we needed to record the calls, somehow she cut the call, feigning as if it was network. So she didn't continue the conversation. He called later on in the evening. And of course, we did what we needed to do. And that's the note that has been circulating.
A lot of inappropriate comments, to a child. We're talking about a 14-year-old child here, But the mother was at the background telling her what to say back. Then I came up with that, let's play this game along with him. I need so much evidence, that I'll be able to use against this guy, even if I'm going to speak to him. But I need to confront him with evidence that he will not be able to deny it. But in this particular situation, I am hopeful, and I'm keeping finger crossed that justice will be served in this situation.
Meanwhile, authorities at the Kogi State Police Command confirmed that Ernest is in custody after being arrested at a lodge in Army Signal. They say that investigations are ongoing.
The family hopes that sharing their story will help serve as a warning and protect other children. In Kogi for News Central, Morno Balagbogo.
Me now for this conversation. He has been monitoring the development. Morno, good to have you. From your interaction with the family, what stood out to you about how they handled the situation before involving the police?
Good evening, Felicity. Can you come again? I didn't hear you clearly.
I'm asking what stood out for you in your interaction with the family and how they handled it before involving the police.
Oh, great. Thank you very much, Felicity. When we went to speak to the family, what really stood out for us was the fact that this was someone who was supposed to stand in for the late father and the late husband in terms of the fact that they told us that he was a close family friend. He stayed in River State, Port Harcourt, and at the time he had just called them and said he was in Lokoja and, they allowed him to spend the night. So that was actually the first encounter. The mom told us that the following morning, the night that Ebutele actually came to their house, he touched inappropriately body parts of the young lady. And after the dad died, they had, retained conversation, even though they didn't escalate the issue at that particular time. After they lost their father, he was, somebody that they could, call to, probably to assist. The dad, before he died, had told them that Deeds was a very responsible man and he was a very kind person and all of that. So, it's just quite shocking to see all of the details that have played out, especially with that viral phone call, which the mother recorded between her daughter and Ernest himself, and gory details. It's just something that is so discomforting to actually listen to, and you can hear the disappointment from the mom that, it was just unimaginable and unacceptable what played out.
Experts have said over time that it always seems to be the most trusted a person in a child's life that end up doing things like this. Beyond this particular case, though, what broader concerns does it raise about child protection and parental vigilance?
Great question, Felicity. In Lokoja here, the public reactions has been quite shocking, to say the least, to see that the culture that we have in terms of, speaking out against people, especially people who are powerful, because from my findings, he is a local politician, and there are a lot of people that are still supporting him. Shockingly, when you look at the comments online, you will ask yourself then, why should people come out in the first place? Because the person who is supposed to receive the backlash, yes, he has gotten some backlash. You'll just be amazed and shocked that people will post on their social media handles, in favor and try to, show mercy, downplaying the validity of this particular issue, which has to do with a minor. What does a 14-year-old child know at that age where her reproductive organs are still developing?
Yeah, quite unfortunate. Quickly, in 30 seconds, any further update from the authorities on this matter?
Absolutely. We've been in touch with the police state command in Kogi State. The case has been transferred to the Forced Gender Unit, and they are following up with all the necessary things that they need to do. So as it stands now, he's still in custody, and the uncle of the minor, you know, who we spoke with, he stays in the United Kingdom, and he told us that he is hopeful that justice would actually be given out, and that the reason why they are actually coming out is to discourage this kind of menace that we still have, sadly, in our society. Back to you, Felicity.
Quite unfortunate. Mono, thank you very much for the coverage. Coming up, former Kaduna State Governor El-rufai resists arrest, says security agencies must issue formal and written invitation. That's after the break. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. Vice President Kashim Shettima arrives in Addis Ababa for the 39th Ordinary Session of the African Union Heads of State and Government. Works Minister expresses concern over escalating vandalism of infrastructure as lawmakers scrutinize 2026 spending for MDAs. Judge recuses self from presiding over cases involving former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. And vote counting on the way as polls formally closes in Bangladesh election. Let's go back to Addis Ababa, where Vice President Kashim Shettima has just arrived for the 39th AU Summit. We now have Global Policy and African Affairs analyst, Dr. Victor Hai, for this conversation. Thank you very much for being here. They're gathering again. Nigeria is still a big brother in the Committee of African Nations. What are the discussions you expect the Vice President to initiate in these 2 days that will be there?
I like the way you started. They're gathering again. And the reason I'm laughing is because that is all they do, year on, year out, you know. I don't know if there's anything new that's going to come out of it. When I look at that the EU has been pushing forward, and I look at the various items of the agenda, for me, they're aspirational, but I don't see the will, you know, to implement them among our leaders. AU, I've always argued, has remained a toothless bulldog. And yes, they will gather, they will talk. I'm not being pessimistic, but I don't see anything new that's going to come out of it, quite frankly.
Yeah, but this could be pivotal, don't you think? I mean, we keep going until we find a solution, as they say. Numerous declarations have come of these summits in the past 39 years. What's your thought about what could come out from this particular one? I mean, we need the pool to be open so we could have some policy conversations.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We're going to do that. I wasn't closing the conversation. Obviously, we're still going to talk. Yeah, but I mean, what are the issues that are, you know, pertinent right now? Number one is security. That obviously, and then regional integration, trade, commerce. These are all items that are on the table that I expect will, you know, bring in a lot of this. And I mentioned, you know, and good governance is just for that. That is also very, very important. With the spate of coups that are taking place and happening on the continent, we want to ask ourselves, what is responsible for it? Is it that the military just want to take over? The truth is, no, it's not easy for the military to just come and strike anywhere or take over, unless there is a loophole, you know, in the ruling class among them, the, you know, so-called democracy, where you find gerontocrats. I only call them gerontocracies, you know, people who are in power for over 40 years, and the leaders are not talking to them. I remember during the time of the President, we had this peer review mechanism where presidents will among peers, they'll be able to advise themselves, talk to themselves, and knock sense into one another's heads, or, if you like, advise each other. That, or hold themselves accountable. That has been missing for a very long time right now. So that's one of those items there. So on the issue of security, what are we doing to make sure? I mean, Nigeria led the way during with ECOWAS. That was the original security force like no other, probably one of the first in the world. Its intervention in the wars in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Liberia and Sierra Leone were legendary. I mean, we have to. That is something that no one can ever wish away. So do we have that kind of leadership in the AU? Are we able to intervene and help countries that are in war? Look at what's happening in DRC, look at what's happening in DRC, for instance, with the accusation among them. You find Burundi, Uganda, Rwanda involved in the war one way or another. Each 29. Look at the situation in Sudan. These are items I expect to be on the table.
Well, what about coups? Doc, what about coups? We've had quite a bit of them in recent years, and we've had some countries pull out of the AU and form their own regional body. What actual declarations do you expect from this summit to show that the AU is not going to continue the part of backing without actual action to, support their position?
In order to back and fight, you must earn the respect of the nation. And that's who are the leaders? What have they been able to do? Many of them are just, dancing along with the West, when whichever way they think favors them. I dare say individually, not just nationally, or as a continent. And that's what's responsible for where we are right now. The coups, obviously, the military is never an alternative, or it's never a better alternative to democracy. But what do you say when you have gerontocrats all over the place and people who are manipulating elections and stealing the ballots of the people and enforcing it with bullets as well, under democratic rules, by eliminating enemies or, shutting down, people disappearing left, right, and center. Look at the case in Tanzania, for instance, a woman who was, somehow became president. She was vice president because the head of state, Magufuli, died. She has assumed power, by sheer providence, and has gotten there now and become a tyrant. And I won't be surprised if she's there for the next 40 years, refusing to go anywhere, dealing with any and every enemy. What is the AU saying about it? And that's why I miss this the peer review mechanism that was present during Obasanjo's time. So it's because there has been no action. It's because of the lack of sincerity on the part of the various leaders for their own very selfish reasons.
Yeah, we keep talking. Hopefully things will improve. Let's see what comes out of this meeting. Thank you very much for speaking with us. Now, let's tell you one of our headline stories, the concerns being raised by the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi. He has expressed concern over the escalating vandalism of federal road infrastructure across the country. Umahi revealed that his ministry recently arrested vandals removing cat eyes and electrical safety devices from the Third Mainland Bridge in Lagos for the second time. He added that the suspects were apprehended with the aid of closed-circuit television cameras installed on the bridge following a presidential directive. He explained that the devices, which are relief materials installed on road infrastructure worldwide to reduce pressure on bridges, have become targets for vandals seeking to sell them as scrap. House of Representatives Public Account Committee has called for adequate funding for the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation to enable it discharge its core constitutional responsibilities. This follows the appearance of the Auditor General, Shaka Chira, before the committee to appraise the 2025 budget performance. While reviewing the proposed 15.8 billion naira allocation to the office for 2026, The committee noted that it will be unrealistic to expect the Auditor General's office to effectively scrutinize the proposed national expenditure of 58.4 trillion naira with what it described as minimal funding.
Some of the challenges the office faces in the discharge of its constitutional mandate are as follows. Lack of administrative independence due to delay in the passage of the ODB, which has been passed and is waiting for concurrence with the National Assembly. Delay in accessing relevant records or documents from the audited entities, and delay in answering queries from MDAs. Delay in presentation of consolidated financial statement by the Accountant General of the Federation. Inadequate funding for the office.
Honorable colleagues, my own worry actually is in the fact that we have a budget of 58.1 trillion naira. 58 point something trillion naira is the federal budget. Federal government, sir? Federal government. The federal budget has a size of 58.1 trillion naira now. Yeah. And the office of the Auditor General for the Federation is the office that is ordinarily meant to ensure that those monies are well spent and well audited. And all they have to audit the sum is less than 6 billion naira. For those who can do a math, that's what percentage of the total budget.
Away from money matters for a bit, a mild drama ensued at the Abuja Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport on Thursday when security operatives allegedly attempted to arrest former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai. The incident occurred shortly after his arrival from Cairo, Egypt. El-Rufai's media aide, Muyiwa Adekeye, reported that the former governor refused to comply without a formal invitation. During the confrontation, security personnel allegedly snatched El-Rufai's international passport from an aide. While El-Rufai's legal team condemned the move as executive overreach and a violation of his constitutional rights, neither the Nigerian Immigration Service nor the Federal Airport Authority has officially commented. Still ahead tonight, President Trump ends immigration crackdown in Minnesota following dastardly acts of federal agents in the state. This story and more after the break. Glad you're still with us. To judicial matters now. Justice Obiora Iguatu of the Federal High Court in Abuja has recused himself from the asset forfeiture case involving former Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami and two others. The judge informed counsel of the parties after they had formally entered their appearances in court. The development occurred shortly after the civil suit for forfeiture of 57 property allegedly linked to Malami was called for mention. The cases were The cases were formerly with Justice Emeka Nwite, who sat as vacation judge during the Christmas break. To some politics now, the Nenadi Usman-led caretaker committee of the Labour Party has accused Julius Abure men of invading the party's national secretariat and removing key documents. Members of the National Working Committee, accompanied by leaders of the Nigeria Labour Congress, inspected the Abuja office on Thursday and described the incident as an attack on party structures. This incident follows a recent Federal High Court ruling that removed the Abure-led executive and recognized the Usman Group, a decision acknowledged by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Nenadi Usman faction has since taken over the national facility. And in Kano State, truck and tanker drivers have been tasked to shun the use of drugs during driving in a bid to end the escalating incidents of truck crashes being witnessed on major roads. While many of them denied being under the influence of drugs. Safety experts, however, urged them to obey laid-down safety rules when driving. News Center's Emmanuel Bagudu completes this story.
Mangled wrecks of trucks adorn the highway, evidence of their increasing occurrence. With Nigeria heavily reliant on trucks for haulage and tankers for the movement of petroleum products, the more accidents reported, the more citizens lost their lives to the fatalities, with claims that many of the drivers are usually under the influence of drug use. Some of them maintain otherwise.
A truck driver is a man who have a sense over certain people, a truck drivers, because he was always in the seeking of driving. He was always to think how to care people's life, how to care their property. Now I have a first aid box inside my trucks. Most of our trucks, we have first aid box. If that thing happen, now only truck drivers can carry first aid box to come and assist, to give a first aid. If you reach a truck on the road, giving an order, that is horn. If you horn to that truck driver, he will understand that you won't overtake to him.
Akwai mutanen da suke cewa mu direbobi mu muke kashe mutane. Ba zan maka musu ba. Majority a cikin mu ka gani ko gora bana ci. Bare mu magana shaye-shaye. Sannan direban tanka muna ɗaya daga cikin waɗanda in dai tsaro ne a ƙasar nan, to in zaka ga azdan kaso 10, to kaso 9 zaka ga ba direban tanka bane.
Yanzu shi direban trailer yana sama, ka biyo mai ta bangaren da ba zai ganka ba, ta bangaren shoulder, ka zo jikinsa ka tutso mota sai wani abu ya faru kuma sai ka ce direban trailer ya maka, wanda shi a zahiri ba zai ganka ba. Hasali ma doka ta ce ka ba da mita 50 tsakaninka, 30 ne ko 50 tsakaninka da motar da kake bi, to kai ka zo jikinsa inda ba zai ganka ba ka shigo kuma sai abu ya faru.
The Federal Fire Service and the Tanker Drivers Association highlight solutions out of the current problem.
We are doing all across these your findings is how we'll be able to collaborate with relevant agencies to engage not the truck drivers alone, but their relatives. If calls begin to come in from all angles, security operatives, safety agencies, family members, I'm certain they will listen.
The only thing we need from the people is to pray for us. Maybe everything will be clear. And then I want to call attention for our country, most especially leaders. Nigeria will have bad roads. Bad roads. That bad road can cause more accidents within our country.
While it is clear that heavy-duty vehicles need to transport goods across the country, in a bid to meet the needs of citizens, safety experts say there is a need to ensure that drivers meet safety rules to avoid accidents and the needless loss of lives. In Kano for News Central, Emmanuel Bagudu.
Many thanks, Emmanuel. One of Africa's biggest cultural gatherings, the Agungu International Fishing Festival, is drawing excitement in Kebbi State as colorful traditional sports, cultural displays and community competitions take center stage. From archery and catapult shooting to Dambe boxing, the festival continues to showcase heritage while attracting visitors from across Nigeria and beyond.
People from various walks of lives that are, in this of Agungu Emre have, moved back, from Lagos, Abuja, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, and come down. There's love for the, that's understanding the unity and love of the, for tradition and culture of our people.
Oh, this is our heritage. Having the world celebrate with us is awesome. It's the least I can say. I'm really happy. The turnout is very, very good.
I am very widely exposed. I know that everybody is created equal. I don't discriminate. And I know after the Civil War, the Agungu Festival was initiated so that they promote national unity.
Lovely to see those colors. Let's move away from that and tell you that the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has called for stronger collaboration between the Nigerian police and the banking sector to enhance financial security across the country. The IGP made the call during an engagement with the body of bank CEOs on Thursday in Lagos, a meeting stakeholders describe as the first of its kind. The IGP noted that threats to financial institutions have evolved from armed attacks on bank branches and vulnerabilities in cash movement to more complex transactional crimes, including identity compromise, organized financial crime, illicit financial flows, and cyber-enabled fraud.
These threats are technologically sophisticated. Sometimes they are coordinated across borders. It's against this backdrop that we in the Nigerian Police Force are implementing a deliberate strategic shift towards intelligence-led protection of our financial infrastructure. I would also like to take this opportunity to reaffirm the unwavering commitment of the Nigerian Police Force to the protection of the banking sector and to also discuss how we can further strengthen our collaboration and enhance our services within the banking sector.
U.S. President Donald Trump's lead official has announced the end of aggressive immigration operations in Minnesota that had sparked large protests and nationwide outrage following the killing of 2 U.S. citizens. Thousands of federal agents, including immigration and customs enforcement officers, have in recent weeks conducted sweeping raids and arrests in what the administration describes as targeted missions against criminals. The operations have sparked tense demonstrations in the Minneapolis area. The fatal shooting of Rene Good and Alex Petty, less than 3 weeks apart last month, led to a wave of criticism. Vote counting is on the way in Bangladesh after polls closed in a closely watched general election seen as a direct contest between the Bangladesh Nationalist Party and a coalition led by Jamaat al-Islami. Electoral officials began sorting ballots immediately after voting ended across the country, with early attention focused on Dhaka and other key cities. The race pits BNP leader Tariq Rahman, widely viewed as a front-runner for prime minister, against an 11-party alliance headed by Jamaat al-Islami chief Shafiq Rahman. Tonight returns with business, sports and entertainment updates. Do stay with us.
In business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has reiterated its commitment to far-reaching economic reforms designed to stabilize the economy and support Nigeria's ambition of becoming a $1 trillion economy by the year 2030. Speaking at the CBN Special Day during the 47th Kaduna International Trade Fair, the bank highlighted key policy measures including foreign exchange rate unification, bank recapitalization, and enhanced transparency in FX trading through BMatch system. The CBN also underscored progress in digital finance, regulatory clarity for fintech and virtual assets, including payments modernization under the Nigerian Payments System Vision 2028. And from that, renowned investor Femi Otedola says the Naira could trade below 1,000 Naira per dollar before year-end, pointing to Dangote Refinery's attainment of full capacity. In a post on X, Otedola argued that domestic refining, now supplying up to 75 million liters of petrol daily, will reduce Nigeria's reliance on fuel imports and ease pressure on foreign exchange demand. He also highlighted Dangote's planned $12 billion expansion to raise capacity to 1.4 million barrels per day and add petrochemical output, including polypropylene and linear alkyl benzene. And onto the equities markets, the all-share index edged up 0.25% to 178,625.63 points, lifting market capitalization slightly to 114.66 trillion naira. And beneath the modest gain, the session was clearly even, with one sector doing the heavy lifting. What do I mean? We look at the sectoral performance to have an understanding now. The banking sector is 0.13% as profit taken resurfaced in top names like GTCO after its recent run. Insurance declined 1.47%, with broad weakness across mid-tier counters dragging sentiment lower. Oil and gas powered up 4.64%. Now, this is where it is interesting after we saw yesterday's mild drag, and that strength was strong enough to tilt the entire market into positive territory. Consumer goods dropped 0.04%, largely muted with no decisive flow. Either way, industrial goods fell 1.09% as pressure on Dangote cement weighed on the space and limited the broader upside. Now, oil and gas didn't just outperform, as you see here, it practically rescued the session. That's it on business. I am Dikon Obanjo.
And in sports, Nigeria will face Morocco in the Davis Cup World Group 2 as the two nations prepare for a crucial playoff encounter later this year. Currently ranked 48, Morocco are Africa's second highest ranked tennis nation behind Egypt and present a formidable challenge. Historically, Nigeria has never recorded a victory over Morocco in the Davis Cup, with the first meeting between both sides dating back to 1973. The North Africans returned to the World Group 2 following a dramatic 3-1 defeat to Colombia in the previous World Group 1 playoffs, a result that dropped them into the current stage of the competition. Nigeria, on the other hand, broke their place in World Group 2 after an impressive victory over Uzbekistan in Lagos, continuing their steady rise in the global team tennis rankings. The tie between Nigeria and Morocco is scheduled to take place between September 18 and 20, 2026, with the venue to be confirmed by the International Tennis Federation. Now, British authorities have confirmed that former Arsenal midfielder Thomas Partey has been charged with 2 additional counts of rape. The 32-year-old has denied raping 2 women and sexually assaulting a third. Prosecutors have now authorized the new allegations, bringing further charges against the Ghanaian international. He is scheduled to appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on Friday, the 13th of March, in connection with the latest counts. Partey previously pleaded not guilty to 5 counts of rape and 1 charge of sexual assault when he appeared at Southwark Crown Court in September last year. The alleged offences are said to have taken place between 2021 and 2022 during his time as a first-team player at Arsenal. Partey, who is currently on bail, is set to face trial on the 2nd of November. Now, 2027 Africa Cup of Nations co-hosts Kenya would support postponing the tournament, given the likelihood of election-related violence around that time. Reports said that the competition could be postponed to 2028 because Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania are not yet ready to host the competition. An inspection team from the Confederation of African Football is currently in Tanzania and due to hold a meeting about preparations on Friday. CAF President Patrice Motsepe has previously stated that he is confident that the 2027 competition will go on as planned, and Nicholas Musonye, chair of the Kenya Local Organizing Committee, said that postponing the tournament to 2028 would be good for Kenya, considering the country would be gearing up for national general elections in August 2027. The biennial event is due to switch to 4-year cycles from 2028 edition to bring it into line with other continental competitions such as the European Championships and Copa America. Now, UEFA President Alexander Seferin on Thursday said European football's governing body was not currently contemplating bringing Russia back into the international fold after FIFA chief Gianni Infantino recently indicated he backed easing the ban on the country. Now, Russia was expelled from all club and international competitions by UEFA in 2022 following the country's invasion of Ukraine. The International Olympic Committee has now recommended sports federations allow Russian teams to compete at youth level, and Infantino said earlier this month that the ban has not achieved anything. And that's a wrap on Sports Update. I am Udoka.
In the world of entertainment for tonight, Burna Boy's critically acclaimed 2019 album, African Giant, has officially surpassed 1.2 billion streams on YouTube Music, marking another major milestone for the Grammy-winning Nigerian superstar. The project, which features standout tracks like Anybody, Bono, On the Low, and global hit Ye, played a pivotal role in cementing Burna Boy's position as a leading force in the global Afrobeat movement. Released in the year 2019, African Giant earned Burna Boy his first Grammy nomination and significantly expanded Afrobeat's international footprint, opening doors for African artists on global streaming platforms and award stages. Now, on the foreign scene, Essence has announced the honorees for the 19th annual Black Women in Hollywood ceremony, honoring a cross-generational group of performers, producers, and creative leaders. The prestigious event recognizes Black women who are making significant contributions both in front of and behind the camera. The 2026 class includes Chase Infinity, Kerry Washington, Latanya Richardson Jackson, and Zinzi Kugler. This year's theme, Off Script, highlights how Black women in Hollywood are redefining narratives, taking creative control, and reshaping the entertainment industry on their own terms. Now that's it on entertainment news for tonight. My name is Kate Adeogun.
A quick look at our headlines as we wrap things up. Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived in Addis Ababa for the 39th Ordinary Session of African Union Heads of State and Government. Works Minister has expressed concern over escalating vandalism of infrastructure as lawmakers scrutinize 2026 spending for NDAs. George has recused self from presiding over cases involving former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. And off our shores, we told you vote counting is underway as polls formally close in Bangladesh election. Would appreciate your feedback. Please share them. Use the number being displayed now on your screen, or you can do that on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for your kind company. Have a very good night.